There's nothing like it. The excitement of Texas Tech men's basketball. And now, with all the pregame analysis from the best, this is KMAC Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off.
Good morning and welcome into Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off. David Collier alongside Phil Mayer. We're about 30 minutes away from Texas Tech. Red Raiders with their rematch against the former head coach Chris Beard in Austin, where we find our Mason Horodisky right now. Mason, how's it looking there in enemy territory?
What's going on, guys? Good morning. I'm out here in the state capitol getting ready for the Red Raiders matchup with Chris Beard and the Texas Longhorns. And I'll be breaking it down for you all right outside the beautiful, the concrete Irwin Center.
All right, appreciate it, Mason. Big day ahead. Phil, you ready?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm looking forward for this one after the last one for sure.
You would get on a plane and go watch the game, or would you drive there?
Oh, you know me. I'm driving. I'm saving that money.
All right. Coming up, Texas looking for revenge, while the Red Raiders looking for a fourth straight win there in Austin.
And the game isn't at United Supermarkets Arena, but there will still be plenty of scarlet and black in the crowd.
And later, Phil gets his hands on a whiteboard with Mason out of town. Of course, it's the fill-in-the-blank edition of Crashing the Boards. All right, we mentioned plenty more from Austin and round two between Chris Beard and Mark Adams. But we set the table with the week that was for the Red Raiders, and we start off where we left you Saturday. The TCU Horned Frogs giving Texas Tech a scare at United Supermarkets Arena. Purple and white would explode from deep, hitting 7 threes in the first half, and thanks to a monster 20-point performance by TJ Shannon, the Red Raiders able to come out on top against the Frogs.
That's one of the things we talk about half the time is the way TCU is moving the ball, very disciplined, get a lot of respect for the way they came in. They were ready to play, sharp. They moved the ball, great spacing, and so we were trying to disrupt them some way, and that starts with deflections and putting pressure on the ball. So we really kind of got it going with a few minutes in the first half, and then that momentum carried in for most of the second half. But the ball pressure, deflections, and getting steals was huge, and we scored a lot off our defense second half.
But it wasn't all great against TCU. Kevin McCullough going down in that one with a sprained ankle. Second time this season, McCullough has missed time with ankle troubles, and it happened on what Mark Adams called a freak accident. Here is Coach Adams on how the injury happened, on what to expect going forward.
That was just a freak accident. I think he, my understanding is he backed up after a shot and actually kind of fell into, I think it was one that Coach Dixon's hit his foot, but it's an injury. Nothing's broken. It's just looks like it's going to be just an ankle sprain right now. So we're hoping for the best and hopefully be ready for Baylor. We'll just have to see how he progresses, but I know he's getting treatment as we speak.
And the Red Raiders checking in at 11th in the latest AP poll on Monday. After the loss we don't really need to talk about last week in Norman, voters didn't really punish the Red Raiders much for falling to the Sooners, though. They just dropped 2 spots in the rankings.
The Red Raiders took that 11 ranking into action against Baylor on Wednesday, the 7th-ranked Baylor Bears in town in Lubbock. And again, it was a big second half that won the game for Tech, courtesy of mostly one man, Kevin O'Banner, with 21 points and 9 rebounds in that second half alone. He was hitting threes, getting his nose dirty on the offensive glass. Really just a complete offensive performance. Here's Mark Adams after Texas Tech's first sweep of Baylor since 2005.
Well, I said a prayer, and if I was Catholic, I'd probably had a few the Hail Marys. Just trying to get these guys to understand what an opportunity they had, and that we were right there. It's not what's important, not what I said, but how they responded. And this team's very resilient. We were down at halftime against Baylor, and I'm reminding them of that a month ago. And so, I looked in their eyes, and I could tell these guys wanted to win, and that's what these guys went out and did, and just so proud of them.
Yeah, I think the most impressive thing in a game like that is the fact that twice now this season, they've been able to beat the Baylor Bears without a big key cog in the lineup, and that's something I'm assuming you got to be excited about moving forward, knowing that there's so many different pieces that can pick up the slack when somebody's out.
Yeah, and key cog, especially the team's point guard. They had different people filling in, bringing up the ball, Adonis Arms, but Terrence Shannon was really the one who impressed me. You know, he was taking a little more control of the offense, had 5 assists, which is his second best total of the season.
Yeah, if Terrence Shannon's finally rounding into form when you're about to head into March, I think you're doing pretty good if you're Mark Adams and company. So Terrence Shannon looking good going into Austin, and Mason Horodisky always looks good. Happens to be in Austin. Mason?
Hey, thanks so much. Yes, that game on February 1st will live in college basketball lore forever. The game, the hype, the crowd, the atmosphere, all at a peak as Chris Beard came back to Lubbock for the first time. But now as the Red Raiders come here to Austin, in his house, even though the crowd might be just as good, this is a much different Texas Longhorn team than we saw at the beginning of the month. Since that fateful day in Lubbock, the Longhorns are 3-1 with a huge win over then number 6 Kansas, even under their belt. This is the Texas team that a lot of people expected to see at the beginning of the season, but are now just starting to hit their stride. And as they continue to do just that, Mark Adams knows that beating them this go-around won't be as easy as it was in the hub city.
Yeah, that's I hadn't really thought much about that until you brought it up, but that'll mean a lot to our guys, and we're going to need a huge crowd to take on a much improved and very well coached and very talented Texas Longhorn team. Well, I think first anybody you got to rebound with them. They're big, physical, they play hard, they're just great in the paint, and so just trying to stay with them and keep them off the boards is probably the biggest emphasis.
We know this won't be the same Texas Longhorn team that we saw in Lubbock, but can the Red Raiders still play as well as they did? Maybe having a big crowd in front of them will help them out.
Now, Mason, you mentioned fans being there in Austin. Texas actually announced they stopped selling tickets on Thursday to make sure there were enough seats for the students. Wink, wink. Thoughts on that?
Well, there's really 2 ways of looking at this. Do I agree with the way that they went about it? Of course not. I don't think it's fair that any fan should get blocked out of a game for whatever reason if they're willing to pay and come watch the game and be respectful at the end of the day. But I do understand why they're doing it for this fan base in particular. Think about it. Ken Pom just named the Red Raiders the #1 home court advantage in all of college basketball. Why would any team in the country, especially the Texas Longhorns, want to risk having that fan base invade their own arena? From that standpoint, I get it, but again, I don't think this was handled the right way. That said, even if there's only a couple of Red Raider fans that happen to be in that building later on for tip-off, I still expect them to be even louder than a full house for the Longhorns.
All right, Mason, we appreciate it. Time to take a break from Austin, which I think we all agree is a good thing. It's time to fill in the blank. Phil Mayer, he's usually over there. He's co-hosting because he's that good. Now, Mason mentioned, Phil, that the Longhorns have obviously been playing better basketball of late. They've been doing blank better, though, to turn things around.
Getting to the free throw line and taking care of the ball. The Texas Longhorns are not the most efficient offensive team. Marcus Carr's bread is buttered on making those tough shots. Andrew Jones and Courtney Ramey like to shoot long jumpers as well. How do you mitigate that? Maximize your possessions. Horns aren't giving the ball away. 10 turnovers or fewer in each of those last 4 contests. And if your shots aren't falling, the easiest way to get to points is by getting to the free throw line. 73 free throws attempted in the last 3 games. However, this Red Raider defense is among the best in college basketball, especially when it comes to forcing turnovers. It will be interesting to see if Texas can keep up that solid play against Tech.
Yeah, I know Mark Adams is the minister of defense, but I'm sure Chris Beard, for obvious reasons, doesn't like this matchup. But besides the off-the-court stuff, it's because of the defense, and he knows it's going to be a handful there at the drum here later today. All right, time for our first break here on Countdown to Tip-Off. Still to come, we look at the rest of the matchups today in the Big 12 Conference.
And later, we break out the whiteboards for crashing the boards. All that and more right here on Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off.